Hey everybody, we've been talking about this for a long time. I am going to show you how to make these simple, cute little hedgies. They're super easy to make. It involves some hand sewing, so we'll do that. But it also involves this fabric. So this is called gelled mohair. And I understand that the company in Germany that makes this is no longer going to make it. So if you go onto Etsy and type in hedgehog fabric, or even just Google hedgehog fabric or gelled mohair, you should be able to find some. It is very expensive, very, very expensive. But it only takes a little piece. So this is approximately 4 by 4. I just wing it when I cut them, and they fit. So 4 by 4 square of this piece. So you don't need much to make one hedgehog. But it's last time I bought it by the yard, it was $97 a yard, and I think it's more than that now because my very small package that I just got was $175, and it is not a full yard. Anyways, so costs a lot of money, but it makes the best hedgehogs. Okay, you need core wool, always. And then I'm using Corriedale Gray just for an accent on the nose and the ears. And then some black. And then, very importantly, we need blush. So I went in and I found this. This is not expensive blush because my other one ran out. I don't even know who this is by. I don't know. I found it at Walmart, and it was not very expensive. All right, you need a skewer. You need a needle, and then you need a needle and thread. I already pre-threaded mine, so you don't have to watch me do that. You don't have to use one this big. I just don't know where my little one is right now. And ruler to show you all everything. I'm just using a Gutermann thread in cream color. Okay, so let's get started. You guys aren't going to believe how easy this is. You're going to go, oh my gosh, Hedgies, where have you been all my life? Basically, we're making a teardrop shape. And then the nose curls up. So, skewer, my favorite thing. You all know this. We're going to wrap our core. Oh. And we're going to go up here. So, remember, teardrop shape. So, whatever end is going to be your nose, you want that very skinny. Very, very skinny. In fact, sometimes I will do that after. So let's come down here. And if you can hear, John is talking really loud. My husband's home today. And he's been home. And he has a kidney stone. So he's been not in the best mood. Okay, so I'm going to secure that first piece of core wool. And, you know, I'm just working out a little, but you can already see my teardrop shape is happening. We're already getting our hedgy shape. When you see how easy these are, you're going to just be like, oh my goodness. I've never made a hedgehog with just wool. I've always used the fabric because it's really fun fabric. Some people call them porcupines, but I intend them to be hedgies. And I don't put feet on mine. You could put feet on yours if you want. Some people do. And this core wool, every so often in this core wool, there is a little piece of somebody's farm. And just take it out. And the reason I take it out is because we're actually going to use this color. Been raining cats and dogs here. I mean, cats, dogs, sheep, horses, and cows. Holy moly. My sheep are wet. My dogs are wet. My puppies are wet. Even Stewie came in the house just drenched a few minutes ago. But now the sun is out because it's Oregon. But it's the first time it's been out in a couple days. First time. So, actually, I think I'm going to take him off the skewer. I felted that end, so I didn't have to pay attention. Now, I want this to be smooth. And we're going to Remember, we're keeping this really skinny down here. So we want to end up smooth. Now this does not have to be felted super tight. It does have to be felted, and then this is going to be the bottom, so it will be felted. But because it's inside, it's like stuffing. You know, it's going to be the stuffing under our fabric. And you need this where the head is, so you're going to decide where your head's going to be. You can see I'm already working towards my hedgehog shape. I'm using a 38 star spiral, you know, my favorite needle of all times. I saw on a website somewhere today that there are 40 stars, and I need to get my hands on some of those and see if I like them. A 40 star would be the bomb for detail work. So I just wrapped that little piece around his head to smooth this all out. And I'm gonna show you how to decide if it's big enough in a second. I on purpose didn't make it big enough, but I'm working on the head. So we're gonna come down here. Kenneth's coming back. I heard John was setting you up with some snacks in there.
Yeah, you showed me a candy drawer that I've never before seen.
Uh-huh. It's the drawer I keep full of chocolate and candy because if I don't, haven't I told you this story before? If I don't keep chocolate in the house, John will eat my chocolate chips for baking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, look, look how far we are already. So we want this nose to curl up.
I made a chai tea.
You made chai tea?
Yeah, I put some creamer in there and some honey.
Oh, did you? I have vanilla flavoring on the counter.
It's very good.
Did you find the chai tea bags?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Good. So this you want felted pretty hard because we need to sculpt in the face and the nose and all of that stuff. So this portion only needs to be super felted so that you can sculpt. And you see, as I poke more this way, remember, learning to needle felt is all about learning which way to poke your wool to get it to go in a direction. So the more I poke this way, the more that nose comes up. Stewie's like, my favorite person is here.
He's extra clingy today.
Extra clingy?
Yeah. He's staring into my soul.
With his blue eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's saying, protect me from the dog. So you can see I kept this very thin, and I'll give you some measurements here in a minute. But that might be a little bit too thin, but we're going to make it fatter. Now, we're going to take that little piece of fabric. So you have to decide which way you want your I like them to go towards the back. And I'm going to go, oh, this is too big. Because see, I have all this extra. So we're going to make him wider back here. And I know you all are thinking, wait a minute, she's putting a square thing on a round one. I'm just going to show you a trick when we sew it on. How to make that fit. And it's amazing how easy it goes on. And it's easy. Remember, this does not have to be super tight back here. Rip, what do you have in your mouth? Oh,
tennis ball.
His ball. Just checking. As long as it's not wool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so it's been raining so hard. The puppies were so muddy.
Oh no.
I didn't even want to go in there. I'm like, oh no.
Still have all of them?
Well, they start going home this week.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll dry out a little before they start going home. Michelle's, we got to help Michelle move a panel up her hill so she can take hers. And Mr. Red, who I've been calling Jones, like Indiana Jones, he and Mr. Black, the two that I have available, are going to move in with Zero.
Oh, wow.
And we're going to let Mr. Zero train them. Hopefully he will not train them any bad habits, but he will be so happy to have company again. And then Trini will get her tracking collar back on. Trini has a, sorry about the Rip squeaking his ball. Trini has a tracking GPS collar that also does shocky if she goes outside the boundaries. Rip. No squeaky. So Trini will get her tracking collar, and Ren will have her embroidered collar with our phone number on it in case she goes away, but doubtfully she will leave. She won't leave without Mom or Mira. So the training with the sheep begins this week. Okay, so I'm going to tighten this up a little. I made him too big. Oh my goodness, right? Just a little bit too big. Just a little bit. So you want this fabric to go from that side to that side. See, that's right. And now once I stab it a little bit more flat, it will be good. I made him a little fluffy. If you're using like a like your pen tool or something, probably will go faster even. All right, so there we got that. Now I'm not going to put his face on yet because first we're going to dress him. So you're going to take your threaded needle. I'm using a doll needle, which is way too long technically. And I tied a knot in the end. I doubled it. And you're going to start at one end. Let's start right here. And we're going to we're going to do a running stitch all the way around this. This stuff is kind of thick. So kind of like a basting stitch because we're going to gather this on to the body. So I am stitching. And you guys, don't ask Cannon on the video any of these questions. Ask them in the group, in the Facebook group, because then I can answer them. Because sometimes he sees your questions and he doesn't know what to say. I'm throwing you under the bus. But it's easier. That way everybody can help you if you have questions. So I'm just going to pull that to there and I'm going to keep going. And we're just gathering it up. I can hear Stewie purring all the way over here. So it doesn't matter that I have a doll needle. It's just super long needle. It would only matter if I ran out of thread or my thread got too short. I use this needle sometimes to attach things to other things. But notice I'm cutting the corner. So because I'm cutting the corner, we'll be able to tuck it in. Try not to get any knots. But you can see it's already gathering up in the round shape. We're just going to go right back to where we started. Cannon's over here being fascinated because he's like, she's sewing. This is a multimedia project. So, now, here we are. Just kind of fit it on them. And we're going to pull it tight. See how that, and then we're going to stuff this in. Remember I said it's like stuffing, so it doesn't matter. All right, and we have this little corner, so I'm going to tuck that corner in. And I pretty much got it the way I want it. And now I'm going to sew this to him. I'm not going to worry about, oops, those running stitches. So now I'm just going to come back. Tighten them up a little bit more. So because we didn't felt this hard, we can tuck that stuff in. But now I'm going in and out of the fabric and the felting. And it doesn't have to be super close together. Now there's a corner. Do you see this corner? Let's tuck this corner in. You can see why I had so much thread, because not only did I do the gathering stitch, I'm concentrating. There's a corner. I need to tuck my corner in. And you can pull it tighter even once you're sewing it on. Notice I haven't sewed up here. Not yet. Because we're going to go back and felt and shape. We're going to hide the edges. So now let's go, look at this. Because I'm using a cream color thread, it's going to blend in. Do you see it in there? It will blend in. It will blend into the hedgie. Okay, his hair is attached. And then we're gonna make a little knot. Knot this off. Just like your regular hand sewing. Grab some scissors and cut this off. Okay, so now our next order of business. Let's felt this flat. And then if you have any weird edges, you can take bits and just felt right over the edge of this fabric. If you can see some fabric that you don't like, you can just cover it up. And this further attaches it. And it's gonna sound weird. You can hear that. It's gonna sound weird as you go over the fabric. Because it's not thin fabric, it's kind of thick. To give yourself a clean edge on your hedgehog. It's not your normal felting sound. But this, I mean, you don't have to do this. You can just leave them like this. I just think it looks better. Pull all your fur out, all the extra fur. Because not only are we felting the edge, we're shaping it. So you can see we're shaping the side. And yeah, I know I make these look really fast, really fast. Remember, it's not a race. I was talking about this with someone not very long ago. It's not a race. Take your time. I make lots of hedgehogs. Birthday hedgehogs are fun. You know, put a little hat on them. Christmas hedgehog, you can put Santa hats on them. So see, I don't like how this is squared off, so I'm going to cover this up. Even though I tucked it in, I still have this little square spot. You just want to catch the very edge of that fabric. So mohair comes from Angora goats. My friend Ellie got to tour this factory because she has Angora goats and they make mohair, and she got to tour where they do all the teddy bear mohair. And mohair is most notably known for doll hair. It makes great doll hair. Doesn't felt very well because it doesn't have scales. So see there, look at this little guy. Is he cute already? So next, make sure your head's nice and felted tight. Next thing we're gonna do is put on his ears. I know you're itching to put on the face, but you gotta wait a minute. So we need 2 little puffs, 2 little stacks of the gray. And we're gonna just trace tiny, they have tiny ears, tiny little Mickey Mouse shape ears. Fold it all in on that line. You see that Rip has kitchen sense. He knows that John went in the kitchen just now.
Now, are you family or like? Okay. You thought, let's ride. I thought something you were planning.
So we have this tiny little ear, and we need another one that looks just like it. I left a little bit of fringe. John was trying to set up a venue tour. And he's like, well, you could come at 5. And I'm like, it's dark.
True. Yeah, it's been getting dark quick.
Yep.
Earlier and earlier.
5:15 yesterday. I was trying to wait for it to stop pouring so I could go out and feed without getting super drenched. Whew. I got super drenched. And if I wear my heavy-duty raincoat to feed, hay sticks to it. So it gets wet, and then hay sticks to me, and I look like a giant hay person. I need like a one-piece rain suit that I can climb into that has, you know, like waders with boots. Okay, let's make sure our ears are similar. This one's a little bit bigger. You're going to see why we're putting the ears on first here in a minute. Because we have to hide our fringe. So let's just tuck this in. That's a little bit too much fringe. I'm going to cut some of this off. I don't want very much fringe because then I have to hide it. Just need enough to attach it. You know, we were talking about attaching. Somebody was asking me, let's see if I can remember. Oh, they were making the reindeer and they had trouble attaching the head to the body. So just use a little wool glue. I know that sounds, I mean, what is wool glue? It's like a piece of the top coat. Use a loose piece. See how I tucked all that fringe in. Doesn't it look like a mouse right now? It kind of looks like a mouse. Oh, would you guys like a funny story? Because Cannon hasn't heard this story. So I had my big show this weekend. And on the last day, John and I were debating if he would give me a ride. So we would only have one vehicle at the end of the show. Or if I should just take the truck, park it in front of the trailer that's already there. And then I'll drive his car home, right? So I go out to my truck. We decided I would go. And I start my truck. And I'm like, well, it feels weird. The wheel was locked. You know, when you start your truck, the wheel will turn because you can turn the wheels. Well, it was locked, and the battery light came on, and I'm like, what is going on? So I turned it off, and I turned it back on. And the battery light didn't come back on, but the wheel wouldn't turn. Like there was no hydraulic fluid or something. And I'm like, oh no, my truck is broken. I was like freaking out a little bit. I go back in the house and I'm like, John, I broke the truck. Anyways, he pops open the hood and the serpentine belt, the big serpentine belt that runs everything, has come off.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's a big deal in a big diesel truck, you guys. It's a big deal. And so I called my friend Michelle, who's also doing the show, who lives right around the block, and she picked me up. And I left John to deal with that. So it turns out, this is the craziest thing. When I started my truck, there was a very large rat that had taken up residence on the pulley of the serpentine belt. So when I started my truck, it sucked him in, ended his life, and kicked my serpentine belt off. He was like this big.
Oh my gosh.
Without his tail. He was this big. He was stuck in there. And John had to unstick him.
That's crazy.
Isn't it? I mean, if I would have went out 5 minutes later, he probably wouldn't have been there. He probably would have been happily chewing something up. But it's like, where are my cats?
Yeah. Well, the thing was hiding from your cats in the truck.
Well, John, that was what John said. He said they probably chased it up in there. Okay, because I have a lot of barn cats. So let's make this nose just a little pointier. And we want this to end up a little bit round. You see how we're getting round? Yeah, craziest thing ever, right? Took him 4 hours to get that belt back on because his arms wouldn't fit down in there. Oh. Anyways. Crazy story, right?
I never heard anything like that.
Me either. Of course, it had to happen to me. So we have our little ears. So if you make a line from your ear to your nose, the first eyeball is going to go about right there. The second eyeball goes about right there. That's why this was reminding me, because it kind of looks like a rat right now. I want you to take just a tiny bit of your, whatever color you're making your ears out of. Just a sheer amount, not very much. We're just going to put a little around here. Just a tiny bit. Get this on here, just to give him a little bit of highlight around his nose. Yeah, it was the funniest thing ever. I get this picture. John's like, found the problem. And at first, when he was in there first, he thought it was a possum.
Whoa,
but
that's a big rat.
It was a big rat. It was as big as his foot. And he doesn't have little feet. You probably have bigger feet than he does. But anyways, it's like, oh my gosh. Poor guy. But where were my cats? They need to be doing their job. They do a really good job in my barn, because I don't have any evidence of rodents in the barn. But this, I mean, my truck hadn't even been there for 12 hours.
It's unfortunate for the rat.
It was very unfortunate for the rat. I mean, that had to be tragic. You know, a tragic thing.
Yeah.
But seriously, stay out of my truck. You know, so Ellie is more rural than I am. We're pretty rural. We're probably about the same. But she has way more rodents than we do. And she has Toyotas. She has Toyota. And Toyota, not very long ago, started using soy. It's good for the environment. Soy-covered wires. The covering on the wires is soy. But it's also very tasty to rodents. They've had to have their wiring harness in their truck redone 3 times already.
Wow.
How old is the truck? It's 4 years old.
That's insane.
Yeah.
They need to put some traps in their garage or something, or wherever they park.
Well, like, you know, neither one of us will use poison. So there we have a little brown nose. So he's going to get a smile right back here. I kind of like look at it from here. Isn't that this? It's, yeah. So I would never buy a Toyota just because of the wiring thing and where I live. You know, when you live rurally, you have things. So then the next night on our cameras, there was a little possum happily going to the cat food, just tootling along. Possums. I have video of a possum, a skunk, and a raccoon all having a war at our cat food. I only feed the barn cats once a day because I figured they should be foraging for the rest. So we're going to take just a little tiny bit of fibers. Remember, don't overdo the number of fibers that you use when you're doing like the mouth details, because you want them nice and thin. You don't want don't have a heavy hand here. I'm just tucking them, and then I'm going to pull off the extra, and then I'm going to poke it in. I like it to be thin. The devil's in the details. Make your details count. Somebody asked today on the group how I store my wool. Because, you know, keeping your wool stored for your colors is a thing. I have stackable bins for my personal stash. And then I try not to have too much of a personal stash because I have such a other stash. So now I just made a little pea size. This is going to be his nose. Their nose sticks out. I've never had my hands on a hedgehog. I've seen them. This might be too big. This is a little bit too big. I'm going to cut a piece of it off. That's better. Let's just stick this on. Where's the end I cut? Do this without poking yourself. It's really hard to do this so you guys can see. So I'm just attaching this to the end of his nose. This is just a quick little project today. If you need supplies, you head over to liongate.org, click on the farm store. And if you in the colors, so if you click on commercial felting wool, remember there's a drop-down menu that has all the colors. And I'm always adding new colors if I can, as I have space for them, because space is an issue. You know, you have a limited amount of storage space. I am getting a new color called Chalk, which is a Corriedale sliver, and it's supposed to be snow white, so I'm very excited about that. I will introduce it to you as soon as it comes. So now we have his little nose on, and we have his little mouth. Let's put some eyeballs on. Yeah, chalk is coming. There's a new like chick yellow coming. It's kind of fun. And then I'm just restocking rib. You don't want to make these eyeballs too big. I'm going to give you guys dimensions here in a minute of the finished product. So you know how big he ends up with a 4x4 piece. We got our little eyes in there. Almost done. Get your little blush out. I don't know where I got these little brushes. Somewhere. I've had it for like 20 years. And then we're just going to put a little blush on his cheeks. I think that makes it. I also put a darker color inside the ears. Just because. I like the blush. So if you're going to put a Santa hat on, it would go right here. But How cute is that, right? It's the cutest thing ever. So these guys are pretty steadily the same size. So the body, he's 4 inches long, believe it or not. Up to, it's like 4 1/4 with his nose. So 4 by 3, you know, ends up 4 by 3 by 3 is what they end up being. This is just a spare body hanging out. This one's a little longer, but remember, he doesn't have his coat on, so, and that squishes him up a little bit. So right now it's 4 1/2 by 3 by 2 1/2. So it'll squish up when it gets its coat on. So there you have it. One little hedgie. If you liked our video, click like and follow us because it really helps us out. And felt with your friends. I know you guys want to see a wet felting video on styrofoam balls. We're going to try and arrange that, and then we're going to set up a felt along for you for this month. Got lots going on, lots and lots. So see you next time. I want to see your hedgehogs. Post them in the group.